She seemed obsessed with you. Every message, every laugh, every late-night call screamed attention, desire, and affection. You thought you were in love. You thought she was in love too. But then, suddenly, something changed. One day she's all in. The next, she's distant, cold, almost like a stranger. And you're left wondering, what the hell just happened? Here's the truth most men will never admit. It's not always about something you did. Sometimes it's about her patterns, her ego, her hunger for attention more than connection. You were never her priority. You were her project, her audience, her validation loop. And the moment she got bored of the role you played, the act ended. You replay the days in your head. You try to figure out the exact moment she switched off. You search for signs, for mistakes, for anything that could explain why her warmth disappeared overnight. But the truth is brutal. The shift wasn't sudden for her. She's been testing, gauging, and controlling the narrative the whole time, and you were too blind to notice. It starts subtly, little things at first, a delayed response, a slight disinterest in your stories. Maybe she jokes a little more sharply, laughs a little less. You dismiss it. You tell yourself, she's just busy, she loves me, she wouldn't pull away for no reason. But that's exactly the trap. The slow withdrawal is intentional. She's measuring your attachment, your reaction, and whether you'll keep performing to feed her ego. And then the moment arrives, she pulls back entirely. Suddenly the calls stop, the flirty texts disappear, the laughter fades, she becomes busy, stressed, or needs space. And your brain can't process it because you thought you were building intimacy, but you were building her power. She never needed your love, she needed your attention. She needed to feel desired, admired, and in control. And once she achieved it, she was done. Here's the worst part. You blame yourself. You replay every conversation, every action, every word, searching for the flaw that made her lose interest. But the flaw wasn't yours. You were playing a role in someone else's script, and the script was never about love. It was about control, about testing boundaries, about making sure you'd keep chasing, keep validating, and keep believing that what you had was real, even when it was never yours to begin with. So if you're watching this and wondering why she lost interest suddenly, stop looking at yourself. Stop asking what you did wrong. The truth is harsh, but it's necessary. She didn't stop loving you. She stopped needing the attention, the validation, the ego boost you provided. And once she no longer needed it, she walked away. Just like that. The sudden shift isn't a mistake. It's a pattern. And recognizing it early is the only way to stop falling into the same trap over and over. Because the moment you realize the truth, that her love was always conditional on her satisfaction, you stop giving her the power to control your heart. Let's be real. Some women don't love you. They love what you give them, the attention, the constant reassurance, the way you make them feel like the center of your universe. And the moment that stream of validation stops, suddenly they're gone. It's a trap most men don't even see coming. You think you're in a relationship, building trust, connecting emotionally. But what you're really doing is feeding a need that has nothing to do with you. Every compliment you give, every I love you, every late-night check-in, it's like currency. And she's spending it to fuel her ego, her sense of power, her feeling of being wanted. Here's the brutal truth. The more you give, the more addicted she becomes. Attention becomes a drug. You're the dealer, she's the addict. And as long as you keep feeding her, she's content. But the second you pull back, even slightly, withdrawal hits. And she doesn't just pull away, she disappears. Emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically. You see it too late. You think her distance is confusion, stress, or a phase. But no, she's showing you exactly who she is when she doesn't get what she wants. The coldness, the subtle disinterest, the short replies, that's not accidental. That's the validation loop in action. And you're trapped in it, wondering how someone who seemed so in love can suddenly act like a stranger. Men confuse being needed with being loved. It's an easy mistake. When someone depends on your attention, your effort, your affection, it feels like intimacy. It feels like connection. But it's not. It's a one-sided game where your heart is the stake and her ego is the winner. And here's where it gets toxic. She knows it. She knows exactly how much attention you need to feel secure. She knows the exact lines to say, the right smile to give, the perfect moment to text, all designed to keep you hooked. She doesn't want a partner, she wants a source. And as long as you keep providing it, she'll play the part of the lover, the girlfriend, the attentive partner. But make one mistake, miss one text, stop chasing. And suddenly, you're the problem. It's maddening. You start questioning yourself. Did I do enough? Am I not good enough? Did I miss a sign? But the real answer is simple. It wasn't about you, it was about what you gave her. The moment she didn't need it anymore, the moment you stopped being her personal validation machine, she moved on and there was nothing you could do to stop it. This isn't just a warning. It's a reality check. Understanding the validation game is the first step to protecting yourself. Because once you see the pattern, the dependence on attention, the subtle tests, the withdrawal when she doesn't get what she wants, you stop falling for it. You stop giving her the power to control your heart with the illusion of love. Remember this, she doesn't leave because she stopped loving you. She leaves because the game is over, and the only way to win is to never play. Let's be honest, she didn't love you. Not really. She loved the performance, the act of being adored, the way your attention fueled her ego. Every smile, every flirt, every I miss you wasn't about you. It was about how she looked in your eyes. Think about it. The cute texts at 2 a.m., the constant calls, the spontaneous little gifts, all designed to keep you hooked. It's not affection, it's theater. And you're not her partner, you're the audience. She's performing, and you're applauding every line. And here's the sick part, it feels real. You convince yourself she's genuine because the chemistry is there. The laughs, the late-night conversations, the way she mirrors your energy. It's intoxicating. But that intensity isn't love. It's strategy, a calculated display to keep you emotionally invested while she maintains control. Notice how her energy changes when you stop giving her the spotlight. Suddenly, the messages slow. The texts lose their spark, calls become shorter, emptier. The warmth that made you feel seen, gone. Because for her, affection only exists when it's feeding her validation. When your reaction slows, the performance stops. And men fall for it every single time. They confuse excitement with intimacy, need with love, attention with connection. But the truth is brutal. She's not in it for you. She's in it for the thrill of being wanted, the rush of your obsession, the feeling that she still has power over someone else's heart. Every compliment she accepts, every smile she returns, every I love you that rolls off her tongue, it's all fuel. Fuel for her ego, fuel for her self-esteem. And when the applause ends, the stage is empty, and you're left wondering what went wrong. She doesn't crave partnership, she craves the show. She craves the audience. And if you're honest, you'll see it in the pattern. The way she repeats this with every person she dates. The way she leaves when the validation isn't instant. The way she tests you to make sure you're still performing. And it's addictive. That rush, that feeling of being chosen, that belief that you're loved, it keeps you coming back. But here's the reality. She didn't love you. She loved the way you made her feel. And once you stop providing that, once you stop playing your role perfectly, she leaves. Simple as that. So what's the takeaway? Learn to recognize the performance. Learn to spot the act before you get trapped. Because real love doesn't need a stage. Real love doesn't require applause. Real love doesn't vanish when the spotlight fades. And the harshest truth of all, most men never see it coming. They're too busy watching the show to notice that they've been a prop all along. Remember this, if love feels like a performance, it probably is. And if it's a performance, the second you stop watching, she'll stop performing too. Ever wonder why she suddenly feels distant, cold, or confused after things seemed perfect? Here's the brutal truth. It's not you, it's the spotlight. When you stop giving her constant attention, when the messages slow down, when you finally stop performing for her ego, that's when the mask slips. The warmth disappears, the sweetness fades. Suddenly she's busy, needs space, or just doesn't feel the same anymore. Because she never loved you, She loved being the center of your world. She thrived on your obsession, your chase, your validation. And the second that fades, so does her interest. The moment the applause stops, the performance ends. You thought she missed you, but what she really missed was the audience. Notice the pattern. She floods you with texts, gifts, and affection when the spotlight is on. But when you take a step back, she doesn't try to pull you closer. She pulls away. She disappears. And all of a sudden, you're questioning yourself. You start wondering if you did something wrong. You think maybe you changed. Maybe you're not enough. Here's the truth. You didn't change. You just stopped feeding her validation. You stopped playing the part she needed you to play. And that's when the real her shows up. Not the loving partner you thought you knew, but the person who's addicted to being wanted more than wanting you. It's cruel, but it's consistent. Women like this don't chase love. They chase attention. They don't want connection. They want affirmation. And when the affirmation is gone, the chase is over. She's already moving on in her head, thinking about the next source of ego fuel. And here's what hurts the most. While you're left scrambling, wondering what went wrong, she's perfectly fine. Because for her, this wasn't about losing you. It was about losing her audience. Losing control. Losing the game she was winning so effortlessly. The lesson is harsh, but necessary. Real love isn't performative. Real love doesn't vanish when the attention isn't constant. Real love isn't dependent on someone worshipping your presence. What you experienced wasn't love. It was emotional theater. And when the spotlight moved, the curtains closed. So next time you feel that sudden coldness, that unexplained withdrawal, that crushing sense of being replaced, remember this. She didn't stop loving you. She stopped needing the show you were giving her. You were never the partner. You were the audience. And when the spotlight shifted, the act was over. This is the reality most men never see coming. They're blinded by the intensity, addicted to the affection, hypnotized by the charm. And when the performance ends, they're left with heartbreak and confusion. Here's the brutal takeaway. If affection feels conditional, if warmth disappears when the spotlight fades, if love depends on constant performance, it's not love, it's a show. And you were never meant to stay after the final scene. Have you ever looked back at a relationship and thought, that felt so real? How did it all fall apart? Here's the cold truth. It wasn't real, not really. What you experienced wasn't love, it was the illusion of connection. She made you believe in something that didn't exist. The late-night talks, the I miss you texts, the constant reassurance, it all felt deep, genuine, intoxicating. But it wasn't about you, it was about dopamine. It was about routine. It was about keeping you hooked. Think about it. Every compliment she gave, every little act of care, every smile that made your chest tighten, it was calibrated. It was carefully measured to keep your brain addicted to the high of feeling wanted. The connection you felt wasn't love. It was chemistry, manipulated to perfection. You weren't building intimacy. You were being trained. Conditioned to chase, to give more, to hope harder. And here's where it gets even darker. When the thrill of novelty faded, when the text slowed, when she didn't need you as intensely, you started to notice the cracks. The connection that seemed unbreakable suddenly feels fragile, and you can't understand why. You think it's you, but it's never been about you. It's about her controlling the rhythm, the attention, the narrative. You see the pattern now. Every time you feel like something real is forming, she doles out just enough affection to keep you convinced. But not enough to make it stable. Not enough to make it permanent. You start comparing her to past partners, to new prospects, hoping for a breakthrough. But it's the same script, the same emotional roller coaster, repeated over and over. That's the illusion of connection. It's not love, it's an emotional mirage. It tricks your heart into believing she's yours, while secretly keeping the power entirely in her hands. She gives what you crave, not what you need. She teaches you to rely on her highs, but her lows are carefully concealed until you start to chase them again. And when it finally ends, when the illusion finally fades, the heartbreak is devastating. You weren't in a real relationship. You were in a show, and the act was over. You realized that every I love you, every moment of intimacy, every tear you shared was part of the performance. You were manipulated into feeling everything she wanted you to feel. The harshest truth. This isn't an accident. She knew exactly what she was doing. She mirrored your desires, played your weaknesses, and created the perfect version of herself that you couldn't resist. And you fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. So if you're replaying the memories, thinking about what went wrong, wondering if you weren't enough, stop. You weren't the problem. You were just the audience for the most convincing illusion of connection you've ever experienced. And the final takeaway: real connection doesn't feel like a trap. Real connection doesn't disappear when attention fades. Real connection doesn't leave you questioning your sanity. The moment you realize the love you felt was just a cleverly constructed illusion, you stop chasing shadows, and you start looking for something real. Let's be honest, she didn't love you, not really. What she loved was herself. And the strangest part, you were the mirror she used to see it. Every compliment you gave, every text you sent, every "I'm here for you" late at night, it wasn't affection. It was fuel, fuel for her ego. You became the reflection of her beauty, her desirability, her power, and she drank it in, every drop. You thought you were building intimacy. You thought you were being valued. You thought you mattered. But in reality, you were just her source of validation. You were the one holding up the pedestal while she stood on top, basking in the attention, knowing exactly how much control she had over your heart. It's subtle at first. A flirty text here, a playful tease there. She makes you feel like you're special, like you're the only one who understands her. And for a moment, it feels real, intense, addictive. You're high on her approval, craving more, wanting to be the one who keeps her happy. But here's the truth. It's never about you. It's about her reflection in your eyes. She doesn't care who you are. She cares how you make her feel. Every smile, every look, every laugh you earn is a confirmation that she's still powerful, still desired, still irresistible. You're not her partner. You're her audience. And the more you give, the more she takes. The compliments, the gifts, the emotional energy. It all feeds her ego. She thrives on it. And when she senses the supply slowing down, when your attention wanes for even a second, watch how quickly the warmth disappears. Suddenly, she's distant, cold, busy. She doesn't need love. She needs her reflection maintained. The cruelest part? You probably didn't see it coming. You were blinded by the highs, addicted to the moments when she made you feel needed. And now that it's over, you're left wondering what you did wrong. You weren't wrong, you were just part of her ego feed. Every interaction, every "I love you", every late-night conversation, it was a transaction. Your attention for her validation, your obsession for her self-worth. And when the feed runs dry, she moves on, like she always does. Because no one can feed an ego forever, not even you. So here's the final truth, brutal and unapologetic. She didn't love you. She loved the way you made her feel. She loved the version of herself reflected in your eyes. And you, the guy who gave everything, who thought he mattered. You were just the mirror, the stage, the applause. And now, you're left to pick up the pieces, wondering why love always seems so short, so fleeting, so impossible. The answer? You were never in love. You were part of someone else's performance. Remember this: real love doesn't require a mirror. Real love doesn't drain your energy while inflating someone else's ego. Real love doesn't leave you questioning your worth. And the moment you see that, the moment you stop feeding her ego, you take back the power she stole from you. She didn't love you. She loved the reflection of herself in your eyes, and once you stop reflecting, she disappears.